Hello everyone. This is a very slow class that we're going to do today. A yin class that is particularly good for those of you who suffer from endometriosis. So we'll be focusing a lot on those meridians that will alleviate some pain, some of those very painful symptoms of endometriosis if you suffer from that. So we're looking at heart, uterus, of course, liver, kidney, spleen. But this is also a class for you if you don't suffer from endometriosis and you just want to have a very nice and relaxing yoga class that focuses on your fascia, that goes very deeply into not so much the muscle but the surrounding tissue. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy this. Come down onto your mat, and just to let you know, you could grab yourself a belt or a yoga strap or anything that you've got lying around that resembles a belt. It could even be a towel. You could also grab yourself 2 blocks. Doesn't have to be blocks, it could be thick books if you've got those lying around. And it doesn't hurt to have a bolster, but I know not everyone has one. So if you just want to grab yourself a couple of cushions or pillows or something like that, that is a good start. So take your time. Maybe pause the video, and once you're ready, align your bolster or whatever prop you're using in a way that I have, and then bring your buttocks firmly onto the ground. Maybe that bolster comes close in, maybe there's a little bit of space between you, just depends on how much you want to arch, what you're comfortable with. Then it'll be quite nice to use props underneath your knees, because we'll bring the soles of the feet together, and then just drop the knees so that they can just get comfortable here and they feel like they're really being held. Obviously you can do all of this without any of these props, but it really helps to get comfortable. So soles of the feet together, coming down onto the bolster, and then maybe using blocks underneath your knees to support you here. And then we just recline down onto our prop and we get comfortable here. And I always say in every yin class, pretend that you're a cat. Cats just take forever to get comfortable, but then once they are comfortable, they really stay forever as well. So if this doesn't work for you, change something, anything at all that feels like it's a position that you can hold for the next 3 to 5 minutes. So that's something that we want to keep in mind. And as we get comfortable, as you get comfortable, I'm just going to take you through those main principles of yin. Number 1, as I said, we don't want to feel pain. That is super important. So as you come into a posture, make sure it's the appropriate one for you. It's entirely comfortable. So that, number 2, you're able to hold this posture for a long time. That can be 3 minutes and can be up to 6 minutes. And you just want to make sure you're giving your body that opportunity to really relax and release. Because if there's anything that pinches, anything that's not quite right here, and we all have different bodies, maybe this arch is too much for you, and you want to just come forwards a little bit more, resting the higher part of the torso on your bolster so that you're not arching too much, then that's fine. If you feel like you're super flexible here in your adductors, in your inner thighs and in your hips, then you might not need those blocks. But always remember that you want to hold this posture in complete stillness so that we can actually work into releasing some of that tightness of the fascia, of the connective tissue that surrounds your muscles, your limbs, your nerves and organs and keeps them safe, so that you can hold this and actually have that beneficial effect of that active stretch. So wherever you're holding, hold in stillness, and then close your eyes, relax your arms, relax the shoulders. And we're going to start with a little breathing exercise. Just taking our time as we inhale through the nose. Maybe exhaling through the mouth or through pursed lips, but of course through the nose is just as fine. Good, now take your time on the inhale, in through the nose. Just feeling the whole of the lung apparatus work. You should feel that expansion here in the upper body, both the front and the back. And as you exhale, you feel that collapse, you let yourself get heavy. Remember, you can breathe out in any way you like. This is just for us to get a sense of the breath. And then keep your mouth closed and just breathe in and out through the nose. And don't think deep breaths, think soft breaths, slow and soft breathing. So hold in comfort, hold in stillness, and hold for long. And being comfortable at the beginning ensures that you're safe for the rest of that hold as well. But if at any point you feel like you need to move because something is uncomfortable, do move. We do not want to feel any pain. Relax your shoulders, and your neck, and your jaw. And maybe you've still been guiding your breaths for this whole time. Try to now just observe the breath. Maybe that's naturally happened. It's actually quite difficult to keep concentrating on the breath and guiding it because our mind wanders. Now just observe the breath as it comes and goes. Probably much lighter than you were expecting. Something that feels less deep, but we know that it's deep enough. Now slowly from here, raise your knees and bring the feet onto the ground. Really take your time with this. We're going to do this super slowly. Slow motion here. Raising the head, chin to chest, forearms onto the ground. And it might not seem like much, but staying in postures for a long time, we really want to take our time coming out of these as well, to give ourselves a little reset, to not rush anything, because nothing in Yin should be rushed. And we come into our rebounder, our reset, pushing our prop to one side so we've got enough space, coming down into the back and hugging our knees in. If that doesn't quite feel right for you, maybe your back feels different, maybe it doesn't need this, it's absolutely fine to find your own. You could bring the feet onto the ground, knees together, just rest here. Or you could stretch the legs out, stretch the arms out in Shavasana. And then if you want to join me for a little sigh, now these sighs really, they're not just a great reset, they also really relax the body because we've got our vagus nerve running through us, the longest cranial nerve in the body, which basically just calms our system with the right kind of input. So that's long exhalations, just slow breathing, and also that engagement of the vocal cords, because the vagus nerve is connected to the vocal cords as well. So now let's breathe in and very gently sigh out, more of a hum sigh than anything else. And nice and gently from here, coming maybe onto the side of the body and making our way up, but really come up in any way that is comfortable for you. And then I want to come into Malasana, or a deep squat. Now some of you might have a bolster that they could use. Some of you might not use any props. I suggest using some books or blocks underneath you, because that makes the whole thing infinitely more comfortable. Bring your feet onto the ground and rest your buttocks on your blocks. If blocks or books are a little bit uncomfortable, because they might be a little bit hard, then obviously you've got a bolster, or you could sit on cushions as well. But we want to sit, feet firmly on the ground, knees apart, and then we can do with the hands whatever we want. So hands at the heart center, hands on the knees, arms just dropped. You could rest your right hand in your left palm, that's a mudra, that's quite nice, and thumbs together here. Or whatever you do, let yourself relax. If that means dropping the chin to the chest, drop the chin to the chest. If it means just letting the back come forwards a little bit, that's fine. So yin is not somewhere where we want to be young, where we want to hold a lot of tension in the body. It's all about letting go. You could also rest your back against a wall. I've obviously not got one right now, but if you wanted to rest your back against a wall, if that gives you more support. In yin, we're always looking for support. So give yourself any support that you think you might need. And then just breathe into your body. Also remember, if you've not quite found your position of comfort, I'm just going to show different variations of this if this one doesn't work for you. Do feel free to change things at the beginning. We're holding for long enough. A yin posture can be held for longer, but the minimum that you want to hold is a couple of minutes. 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 ideal. Anything longer is also great. So again, no props needed, but you might just want them. So if you want, again, bolster is also here, and you could use that bolster and sit on it as well. And if, like my hands, yours are at the heart center, you might start connecting with your heartbeat here, feeling your heartbeat. Knowing you're targeting all the right meridians here. And keep yourself soft. Yin is all about softness. We're not holding tension in the body. Check you're not frowning, check you're not clenching the jaw. And closing the eyes gives you much more of a sense of what's going on inside your body. Also allows your maybe agitated brain waves to become a little bit calmer, because there's just less input for the eyes, for the visual cortex. And through holding a posture in stillness, of course, there's also much less input for the motor cortex in the brain as well. So all of these parts of the brain can just relax along with the rest of the body now. Just a few more breaths. And slowly from here release. Release really slowly and comfortably, in a way that gives you that sense of a reset and relaxation. Come into a posture that allows you to just relax. And I'm going to come into what our next posture is going to be. That doesn't have to be yours. So I'll give you time. Rebounder first, everything else next. So it could be child's pose. Relaxing the back, relaxing every part of the body. Obviously this is a variation. Head is getting heavy. Shoulders are heavy. And maybe join me in that little sigh again. I often call it a yummy sound, the sort of sound we make when we've eaten something nice. Or at least I do. Breathe in. Very good. And then slowly from here, coming up and into child's pose. If you're nearby, you don't have to go very far, but there's lots of different variations of child's pose as well. It's known to most of us, I would say. But let's just start without a prop. Just sitting on the heels, dropping the forehead to the ground. If you want to use a prop, you could do what I did just now for my rebounder and just rest the forehead on your prop. You could also come much further forwards and bring the knees apart and then sort of just hug your bolster or your prop in towards you. Coming down and turning the head to one side. And then I'll let you know when it's time to change the position of the head when we're halfway. So just for those who are where I am now. If it's a little bit much here for your buttocks to be on the heels, again, take your time finding a position that is comfortable. I hope I'm making this clear as I'm taking my time and showing lots of different options. You could just rest your buttocks on a block, on a book, on a couple of blocks or books. So that kind of alleviates the pain that you might feel or the pressure that will come over your legs. And that might not be comfortable for everyone. So just an option here for those who need it. Lots of options available. If I haven't shown you one that you think might be nice for you, give yourself time, find something that works for you. No rush, be like cats, take forever to get comfortable. And then settle in that stillness, that complete comfort. Close the eyes. Relax your torso, your shoulders and arms, your hips and your legs. Remember, observing your breath is fine. You don't need to guide it. But it's also quite normal for thoughts to just come and rush in and sometimes overwhelm you. And then sometimes it's nice to guide your breath, so that you're just focusing on something other than those thoughts that you don't need to focus on. They can be there, you don't have to push them away. You just direct your attention away from them. Now turn your head the other way if you were turning your head to one side. rush this. Nothing in Yin is fast. We're keeping things slow. We're coming up slowly. Finding our rebounder, our reset. Maybe I'll just bring that bolster a little bit further forwards to have more space. And I'll just come down into the back. Again, this is just one option. You can come into any comfortable position for you. There's no right, no wrong. Just come in any position you like, any position that feels good for you. And spend a bit of time there. And maybe like me, you'd like to bring your hands to the chest and stomach. Join me in a little sigh. And really give yourself enough time. I know I'm here right now to let you know when it's time to move on. But if you ever do a Yin class just on your own, don't forget that these rebounders are just as important. They're a reset for your mind, for the body, for the cells, the fibroblasts that now work to reinforce the fascia. Give them time, give your body time. We always rush, always during the day, not so much when we're sleeping, but then we're not aware. But that awareness of not having to rush all the time is really something very, very healthy for the body. We used to have these times, always, when we could just be lazy, when we would just do nothing. But now we tend to just, the moment we feel that there's nothing to do, we go on our phones. We just check something mindless, something that has nothing to do with anything and doesn't actually feel healthy to the body. And at the risk of having sounded preachy, we're going to go on now, coming up, just to set up for the next posture. Legs up the wall. You could use blocks, you could use cushions, you could use a bolster if you have one, underneath your buttocks. I'm going to show the posture without any kind of props first, coming onto the back and raising the legs. Now again, I don't have a wall, but there's a reason why we call this legs up the wall. Find yourself a wall, rest your legs against that wall. If you feel quite tight in the hamstrings, it's absolutely not a must that the legs are straight. That's an impossibility for many of us. So just feet higher, as high as they can go, rest them against the wall if you want. And what could feel quite nice is bringing a prop underneath you here, underneath your buttocks, so that you're elevating yourself a little bit. So see if that feels nice. And of course, blocks and books can be a little bit less soft than a bolster or a pillow. So if you wanted to, only if you wanted to, bring your buttocks onto the bolster, a pillow, anything that helps you elevate yourself a little bit if that's comfortable. And then raise your legs here. And again, you might not need this. This might be the opposite of comfortable for you. So take your time, be a cat, get comfortable, and then hold somewhere that feels good for you, because that's somewhere else for every single one of us. If, for whatever reason, you're not resting the legs against a wall, you might find that it becomes more comfortable, and then you can focus more on the stretch into the hamstrings if you wanted, by bringing something around your feet. Like I said, if you've got a belt, great, use a belt. If you don't have a belt, a towel or even a cardigan or a pullover could help here. So if that's something you want to explore, do it, but keep it relaxed. Don't think of this as something that needs to put a strain on your body. We're being kind to the body. That's what we should be every day, all day. But unfortunately we aren't. So let's do it in this Yin class. Softening every part of the body. Remember, relax your jaw. Soften the eyebrows. And then coming to the last few breaths here. As before, you might feel like guiding them. You might feel like just observing. And slowly relax the legs back down. If you were using a belt, that belt could go to one side now. And I'd suggest allowing your legs to stretch out, but how you do that, or whether you do it, is up to you. Sometimes it's nice to bring your legs on top of your bolster, because that just lets your lower back relax onto the mat, just lets you become a little bit heavier. And then maybe breathe in, sigh out. Let all these sensations wash over you. After a long held stretch, sometimes these really wash over us, are much stronger than the ones we felt in the actual yin posture, because they're creeping up on us. We have so much time to explore them, to be aware of them, to be aware of every little tiny moment in which they're changing, whereas that release is a completely different thing. Good. Again, no rush at all. Come out of your rebounder and we'll set up for our next yin posture. Take your time. It's as if we were waking up from a deep sleep. And the next posture is one where I would suggest using a block or a bolster or many different pillows. And it's a reclined angle. So something that we did at the beginning, our first posture, if you remember. But this time, I want you against a wall, if you have a wall, and to bring your hips on a bolster. But if you don't have a wall, I'll give you an option as well. So then, you're just going to bring your feet onto that bolster and drop down. So elevating the feet, that could of course be with blocks. It could be that you're, I don't know, using lots and lots of pillows underneath you. I will now pretend that I've got a wall right where I've got my bolster and come onto that bolster. And then from here, show what you would do if you have a wall. So you would bring the soles of the feet together and rest them against your wall. And then push the knees gently apart. Hands could really gently rest here on the thighs as well to keep them in place. You have that option of doing that, of course, without a wall. So I could do this very gently and freely here right now and be comfortable, but that might not mean that you are comfortable. So get comfortable in the way that works for you. And if that means reaching for your feet here, that's another way. Makes it slightly deeper, okay? So if you've got a wall and you just want to rest your feet against that wall, that could be the position for you. If it isn't, again, buttocks onto the ground and feet just onto your bolster or elevated. And then close the eyes and get comfortable whenever you're ready. Again, not rushing this. Just because I'm comfortable doesn't mean that you are. So take your time. Give it as much time as you need. And again, against the wall, you look very different than I am right now. Feet could be quite high. If that's not your thing, if that's too much, you could just send the legs up, bring them apart. That's another lovely option here, which is just as great if you're suffering from endometriosis, actually, a really good one to do. So take your pick, we'll stay for a while. Again, stay where you are. I'm just kind of reiterating the different variations here, just so you know that where you are is okay, even if it's a variation that I haven't shown. As long as you feel held, you're doing everything right. As long as you're not exerting any force, any pressure on the body. We do that far too much. We demand all these things from our body. We never really just stay in the body. Now slowly from here, come out of this posture. Again, really take your time. There's no rush at all. We don't have to be the first. We shift ourselves into a comfortable position for us, whatever that position is. It might just be stretching the legs out. It might not be. Again, find what feels good for you. And stay there for a minute or so. Try me in that little yummy sound. Breathe in. Just letting go. Notice how your legs are feeling. How the rest of the body is feeling. And feel that coming and going of the breath. And then when you're ready, come up gently, slowly, maybe through the side body, maybe in a way that feels more comfortable for you. Okay, and the next one, again, I've got lots and lots of options for you. Again, I would suggest that you do this against a wall, especially if you suffer from endometriosis. You might not, and then you have a lot more options, I would say. Not that you don't have them with endometriosis, but you'll generally feel just much more comfortable if you are in this one as well, resting your legs against a wall, quite similar to what we did before. In fact, I'll show this before I'll show it against a wall, which I don't have, my imaginary wall. I'll show this without any props. We're bringing our right ankle on top of the left knee. I'm saying without any props, so the left foot could be on the ground. You just push your right knee away from you. Now, if you don't feel like this is deep enough, you should feel a little bit in the hip here. Remember, sensations creep up on you. We're staying long enough to make that happen. But if you feel like you want your foot a little bit higher, then bring it onto blocks or onto your cushions, or if you've got that, forgot the word, bolster, then bring your foot onto a bolster. This might already be enough So just see if this feels deeper for you. And you then also have that option of keeping the right arm on the ground and just having the hand here, similar to what we did in the last posture, maybe, so that your hand is just there. It's keeping the knee from dropping, but it's not really pushing. It's just that there's that connection. So the knee is getting heavy against the hand, but the hand is getting heavy against the knee. This might be enough for many of us. If you want to use a wall, bring your buttocks on top of your bolster again, and then from here, straighten your left leg against the wall. Make sure you're not too close to the wall, because that might be a bit uncomfortable. And then bring your right ankle on top of the left knee, and again, same thing here. You could just rest that hand where it is. Again, if you don't have a wall, I don't have one, so that makes it quite easy for you to imagine what you could do without a wall. If you have that wall, it doesn't matter whether it's really far or whether it's here, it needs to be right for you. So find where you're comfortable. And of course, there is that option of grabbing hold of your left leg here. Now I'm just showing these options because all our bodies are different, and you might not feel anything right now. And what we want to feel at the beginning of a yin posture is a gentle stretch. Nothing deep, just gentleness in this stretch that can unfold into something much deeper. So go to a place of comfort and stay and breathe into the body. Mouth closed, in through the nose and out through the nose. And feel the rise and fall of your stomach. As you breathe in, the stomach expands. As you breathe out, the stomach contracts. Now guide a slow breath in and release as you exhale. See where you'd like to be here. Sometimes it's nice, not for everyone, to just raise the legs. Sometimes just hugging the knees in is a lovely thing to do. You could of course slide off your bolster if you were on it. If that's not your thing, makes this whole thing a very different sensation, of course. And you could also stretch your legs out. Again, that's always an option. Go to a lovely, comfortable position for you. Get creative. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. And then breathe in, sigh out. Just creating that little bit of sound or some enhanced vagal activity. Maybe you feel like stretching the arms out. So rebounders are really there for you to get creative, to find where you're comfortable, and to hold and just let these sensations happen, and to observe them just slowly leave the body. We rarely have that luxury of just doing so little that we can be aware of what's going on in the body, which is sometimes the reason why pain creeps up on us, why it happens, why we haven't been in control, why we didn't realize, oh, something is maybe not quite right in the body. So a good thing to do. Right, other side. Remember all the different options that I showed on the other side, the first side, are obviously available for you here. Maybe you already know exactly where you want to be based on what you did on the other side, but maybe this side will feel very different. So give yourself a lot of time here as well to come into the posture that is right for you. Left ankle on top of the right knee, left knee pushes away. That isn't active here. So while you can start active, feel that resistance, you want to settle into something that is comfortable. Could be here, could be here. Could be you're resting that right leg against a wall. Could be that it's the foot, we're bending the leg. So anything that feels right for you. Could be again that you're bringing your hands around that right knee, around the front of the leg, the shin. Could also be that you're using the bolster again. I'm lazy, I'm not going to show that again. I know you know the options. So go for something that feels good for you, that you want to hold for the next few minutes in stillness, so that you're targeting those fascia that need the active stretches of that long hold. And then settle for that stillness. Again, only when you're ready. I'll show one last option that I didn't show on the other side. Of course, we've got this lovely belt if we do use it. Another thing that people like doing, so I'll just show that as well. If you've got a proper yoga belt, but even if you don't, you might have the option of just pulling it into a loop. Whatever is uncomfortable, push it up a little bit, and then you could raise the head and go here. Again, make sure that it's comfortable here, so the back of the head is holding that loop, not the neck. So no discomfort in the neck. And also some people just like to bring their arms around. Makes this all a little bit less deep, if that is what we're looking for. Again, remembering comfort first. Sensations should be gentle. And then they just creep up on you. And this long hold, that time we spend in the posture, adds the intensity. And we might smile. Can't believe I haven't said that before. Smiling drives your brain into activity that's typical of happiness. That's us being in control of things that we're not really in control of or don't think we are. And that is which neurons fire and which neural passageways get activated. And there's that little thing, a tiny little smile, that can change the chemistry in the body. And so can our breath. So focus on the breath. And those very gentle in and exhalations. Coming to the last few breaths here. Staying comfortable, preparing ourselves for the release. And then slowly letting go. Coming into any comfortable rebounder, the reset for our body. And we'll remember, rebounders are not counter postures. That's why we've got that option of making them whatever we want. It's just that we want to feel release where we've strained and stretch where we might have compressed. And we might breathe in and sigh out. And then nice and slowly come up to seated. Take your time. No rush. Stay in that very yin feel of slowness of everything we do. And we come into our last posture, or two, because we do both sides. And that's a sleeping swan. You might know it as pigeon from traditional Hatha Yoga. I'll show this without props first, but please do use props. So coming onto all fours, bring your right knee to the front, a little bit further to the right side. Foot goes a little bit further to the left side, and then we come down and we drop onto our forehead or our forearms. We let the head get heavy and we get comfortable here. But again, because this is yin, we will use everything we've got to make ourselves comfortable. And we might use cushion or bolster and bring it in front of us to rest on. We might use a block or book to bring underneath our right hip here. So let's see how we can set up. Bring your right knee to the front, let your hip rest on your block, and then bring your bolster in towards you and rest on it. And then if you've got a second block or book or anything like that, you might not come that far. You might just want to stay a little bit higher and rest your forehead on your block. So maybe that's the posture for you. Maybe you don't need. And maybe you want to turn your head to one side. Just remember which side you're going to, so that as you do the other side, you can turn the head the other way. And then close your eyes. And just breathe into the body. Just noticing the sensations in the body. Observing them, not labeling them, not thinking that they need to be good or bad. They're just sensations. And if they're not painful, then this should be easy. And remembering if something isn't quite right, get yourself into that position of perfect comfort before you then release and relax. Remember, your body is falling asleep. The mind is watching over the body. Again, take your time. Come out of your sleeping swan and into your rebounder. You might want to lie on the front of the body. I always quite like just coming onto my forearms here and stretching out that right leg. Just resting here. And again, this might not be comfortable for many. Feel free to do something else, something that feels good for you. Just for a little while. Just a few little breaths. Maybe a mini sigh. And then when you're ready, set up for the other side. Coming back onto all fours, keeping your second book or block nearby, but definitely using the first. Bolster to the right side a little bit more, so we've got space to set up here. Left knee to the front, block underneath that hip. Doesn't exactly matter, obviously, whether you're using it or not, but if you need it, use it. And then we slowly come down. Again, we might not want to come all the way down. We might want to bring a block underneath us, so between us and our bolster. Even this is possible. So nothing is not allowed. It just needs to be right for you. So really, again, as always, get creative. Do what feels right for you. The posture that you want to hold for the next 3 minutes or so. And then if you were turning your head to one side, obviously turn your head the other way now. And now slowly from here, come up and into your rebounder. Again, choose one that works for you. It doesn't have to be mine. Mine might be a little bit strange to most people. I don't know. Join me in a little sigh. Let go. Let go of any tension that you're holding. And feel whatever it is you feel in the body. And from here, nice and slowly, we come up and sit comfortably in any way we like. Good, and then from here we just breathe in and raise the arms and look up. And we breathe out and float the arms down and we drop the head. And we keep the head dropped, wrap the hands together. And just gently place the palms over the face. And we straighten the head and we breathe in and hum out together. And then we're done. Thank you very, very much. And I hope this is going to help those who suffer from endometriosis. I hope it was relaxing for everyone. And I'll see you very soon.